Deep Dive Film School makes no claim of ownership of the film footage used in this episode. The film footage is owned entirely by the copyright holders. Also, we're going to spoil the hell out of this movie, so this is your warning. Welcome to Deep Dive Film School!
This week we are going to give you an extra forgotten gem with our Disabilities Documented Festival with 1971 Werner Herzog movie, The Land of Silence and Darkness. Can't wait to get into this one.
It is time to dive into the darkness of the human psyche. All right, everybody, I am Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Pulcher.
And if you like what you see /here, please like and subscribe. You can find us in all the spaces and places that people what, Pulcher?
I love when you put me on the spot where people find good media.
It's like we're doing a Beastie Boys thing where you finish all of my...
sentences.
I thought you were going to say sandwiches.
Sandwiches. Oh, dang it. I should have. I'm not the ad rock that you wish I was.
That's okay. That's okay. But yeah, so anyway, if you like what you see or hear, go ahead and smash that subscribe button.
Oh, he said it
again. I did it. I'm trying it out. I'm trying it on for size. I don't like it very much. So we just finished out this festival.
You're an influencer now, Sherlock.
I am to all 40 of our viewers on YouTube. We just finished our Disabilities Documented Festival, and we were talking about, I always try to find that fifth that kind of clicks in there.
Yep, this was a perfect fit.
Definitely.
This is one that we talked about forever ago. I bet over 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone past 14 years talking about movies together, and this was one of our early festivals that we did, just discovering who Werner is and what he does as a filmmaker.
Kind of before he came into pop culture zeitgeist as the weirdo, funny guy he is. Like, this was sort of before that, I think.
And I still don't know how popular or well known Werner is. I guess he's in The Mandalorian and stuff. So I guess to a point people know who it is, and it's just this funny random thing.
I feel like he's a David Lynch kind of a character in the sense of here's my impression of this person, right?
Well, I remember this festival specifically because it changed you forever, and knowing,
my God,
just as far as discovering someone that would change your life. I'm not as big of a narrative film fan as you are of some of his stuff, though some of it is excellent. And there's with Herzog, you're always going to get those miracle moments, we used to call them, right?
Completely.
Those moments. And there's tons of them in this movie. I hope people know what this movie is. If they don't, I highly, highly, highly recommend you go watch this. It is less than an hour and a half. I think it's free on. It's easy to watch.
Yeah,
it's not hard.
And I think that the way that Herzog referred to those miracle moments, his terminology for them is ecstatic truth. If you remember, in an interview, he basically said, if you told me the story about the first kiss with the love of your life, if you told me that story, there would be all these details and all these amazing things. And he said, but if I said, well, actually, I have footage right here of that kiss, and you saw it, you would say, that's not it. And he's like, because we heighten those things up to this ecstatic truth, it's beyond just regular truth. And so when he would have these miracle moments, whether that be in his fiction films, narrative films, or in his documentaries, even if it meant doing something weird like having the woman go back through all of the guy's stuff in Grizzly Man, even though they had already done that in real life, he was like, I want you to do it again, because he didn't just want her to talk about it. He wanted to see the way that her hands touched the things that belonged to him, right? And he was convinced there will come ecstatic truth within this moment, and I think it really does. Now, that's not everybody's favorite thing. In fact, I think when it comes to his later documentaries, a lot of people are irritated by how much Herzog puts himself into it. So if you think of something like A Cave of Forgotten Dreams, people are like, why are we cutting away to Fred Astaire? This is... The Flights of Fancy don't make any sense to me. I just want to know about the cave. I personally love it, but I get it. I get it.
I get it to a degree as well. And at first, when we first started diving into who he is and what he is and like just the kind of person he is, I could see that totally. It was a little of annoyance, but once you learn who he is and what he does, and like, I almost prefer it now to make, like for him to do the voiceover of all of his documentaries, because it's just part of what he does.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's so ingrained into his documentaries now. Although here, Land of Silence and Darkness, there is a very tiny narration done by Rolf Illig, which is funny because Rolf Illig kind of sounds like a really young Herzog. For a minute, I was like, is that him, or is it just...
This is probably his most fly-on-the-wall documentary that I can think of.
Oh, yeah,
for the
I
most
definitely
part.
think so.
Which I always love the fly-on-the-wall stuff because it feels genuine. You feel like you're there. And the thing that blows me away about this one, and we can definitely get into Fini Straubinger and how amazing she is and what she's actually doing throughout this whole movie. But it's just the way... For some reason, I don't know what it is, how he does it, and maybe it's just that the way he thinks and what you're talking about with how what he wants to see her touch the thing, right? It's not about what she's saying, it's showing her touching a memory or whatever it is, but he always finds these fascinating people. Yep. I don't know if he's on some hotline or like website where he swipes right on fascinating.
I know, right?
And then left or whatever it is. But like he finds these people, and not just this documentary, all of his documentaries. Mm-hmm. Like you think of Encounters at the End of the World. Like,
completely.
How did you find the most interesting people in that tiny place? And know how to film them and know what to ask them and know just how to engage them. And it's fascinating here. Fina is a wonder. She is something that life should celebrate.
How she is so resilient after the things that she's gone through is nothing short of a miracle. Every time you see her, and
Seriously.
The fact that we wait so long into the documentary to get her story. It's actually like we sit with her, and again, this is a beautiful Herzogian thing, which is
Herzogian.
Let's sit. I mean, it just copyright, trademark. But I think that this idea of the her and I'm at a loss for the older woman's.
Miss Juliet,
mm-hmm. and they go on the plane ride at the very beginning.
Magical,
absolutely
right?
Magical. And
let's preface this too by saying like she is full deaf and blind.
Yes.
Most of the people in this movie are extreme versions of her, right? Like these are some severely disabled people, and I don't know why I thought of this movie. And maybe it's the adventure that Anthony Hopkins takes us on throughout this movie. But do you remember reviewing The World's Fastest Indian, where he just wanted to ride his motorcycle across the world?
I like that movie a lot. That's a good movie.
It's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie. And his Indian motorcycle and all that stuff. And but all he did was go through people's lives and kind of touch them a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And he went through, and that makes an amazing, fun story. And, it dramatizes like some beautiful moment that this person's building up to that they're going to get to or whatever it may be. For some reason, that movie kept popping into my head because that's what Fina is doing here. She's going through all of these she's traveling to these different parts of the world to connect with these people who are just like her, right? And people that need some engagement. And now... we can get into like how amazing it is to listen to her tell a story.
Oh my God.
The things she remembers, and it's almost one of those things of you don't know what you got till it's gone. And
right.
So now that it is gone, it's nostalgic for her to think about that ski jumping.
The faces of the men who were jumping on the skis. Yeah.
Who knows and who cares if that's actually what happens? That's what happened to us, right?
Exactly. Well, and I think that's one of the really beautiful moments of this movie is the way in which she is trying to compartmentalize for us, the ding dong audiences who have not experienced what she's experienced,
have no idea
what it's
going
like,
through.
and she's trying to use descriptive language, and the way these show up on the title cards. The one I'm thinking about is I still can't help but jump when I'm being touched, and you just go, oh my God, of course, because you don't know the proximity of someone because you can't see or hear them.
Well,
and all of a sudden, there's just a hand touching you. I was like, oh, how have I never thought of that before? Like, that is
absolutely.
so...
And also, hey, guess what? These people have no idea that they're being filmed, right? They have no clue that there's even a camera in the room, or
Right.
what a camera can do to a degree, like, or what it could do. So they're just sitting back, which makes his approach of the fly on the wall even a better choice than you would think of, right? 'Cause,
Oh,
like,
totally.
It's not like you're going to be in their face interviewing. It's not a talking head movie.
No, there's like
Right.
there's 5 or 6 layers to every single shot in this
Oh
film.
my God,
Every
so-
single
so
shot
much.
in this film.
But you're getting real moments.
Yeah,
right?
but at the same time, you're in the airplane with the 2 women, and you're watching as the one guy is signing, and they have this, and they get really in depth with how these stroking on the hands, which I believe comes from The Miracle Worker. I think it comes from Helen Keller. I think that's where the finger stroking for consonants and verbs and these things all...
It's amazing. I've never seen anything quite like it. And she has this glove that explains everything and how you're going with syllables and the
It's
tapping
beautiful.
and all this stuff. It is called tactile translation.
Wow.
Translation.
Wow.
And but it seems futuristic with this glove, and you're just like for some reason. But like, we have to remember too. Like, you think of the horrible shit that I think Crip Camp talked about to a degree.
The Geraldo Rivera special, that whole thing,
Like,
yeah.
I can't say for sure. Obviously, I'm speculating here, but like, I bet. I mean, we're talking about this movie was made in 1971.
Yeah.
If you think disabled people don't get a fair rap now,
Man.
think about it in 1971, where she's going around and meeting these people. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of the people that are helping have great intentions and mean well, but I'm sure that the living situations were less than ideal.
Well, think
right?
about this, and I thought about this in particular. We meet the young boy, and there's a doctor who's helping him, and he's scared of the water. And it's this great sequence where he's like trying to get him to. He's like, "Now you dunk my head under. Now I want to dunk you." And he's like, "Nah," he's like not into it. And you're like, "Yeah, that man seems like a very kind man who really cares about this kid." But you go, "Yeah, if somebody was an asshole, or just phoned it in, or God forbid was abusing either physically, sexually, or whatever,
Yeah.
who could that kid possibly report to?" Right? No one.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so.
Consistently.
Oh, it does. It makes you feel like.
It would be impossible not to feel isolated from the world if you were that person. Obviously, we can't even relate to what that person is going through.
No.
But some of these people have been in bed for like 30 years.
Well, and she was. I mean,
Yeah.
Fini was. She tells
Yeah.
this story of, and God, you just think because if this
How
is
do you
19.
have a positive attitude
So this is
after
19
being in bed for 30 years?
This is 1971. How old do you think she is when the movie's being made? Like 70?
60s,
60s,
70s.
70s? So if she had, with her being 14, you're talking about like the early 1900s. So she tells
man.
this story about being like a reckless kid and falling an entire story in the house, right? And landing so hard, the neighbor thought a shotgun went off. And then she's like, "Oh, don't tell anybody." Well, whatever it was that happened, obviously some kind of a spinal injury, some kind of a massive head concussion. First
Well,
means that she starts to lose her eyesight, right?
Well, she got blind at 15, and then at 18 she started having ear troubles where
Yep.
she couldn't do that. But she fled to religion because it made her feel safe, right?
Yeah.
And gave her strength,
Mm-hmm.
which is great. That's what religion should do for people, right? And that's great. But we get her background, and yeah, she fell downstairs, I think is what it was.
Well, I think she fell from the top of the stairs straight down to the next floor. When she was 12 or 13, and then it was like the next year she started having some weird eye issues, right? And you're like, yeah, if it wasn't the 1920s and it was nowadays, like you could do a MRI
CAT
or a
scan
CAT
or
scan
whatever.
and be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, here's what the injury is. And and I think the one downside about turning to religion is that you go, yeah, but to your point earlier when we did Murder Ball, it probably meant that you thought that you were going to be saved and healed at some point, right? And so cut to, then you spent 30 years in bed. She spent 30 years in bed before she was like, okay, I'm not going to die, and this isn't going to miraculously heal, so I guess I better get up and do something. And what she's done in the period of time since then, like the last 20 years of her life, is just, she is the advocate. She's the advocate for all advocates of everyone suffering from deafblindness. Like, she is so eloquent in the way that she speaks. She hosts these dinner parties where all of these people get together, and she's, what was the one name that she has? It's not Little Frog. Oh, Little Snail. She's like, is that my little snail? And she signs Little Snail to the other woman. The other woman starts cackling with laughter, and you're like, they have these, even though they are deaf-blind, which to me, I'm like, death sentence, that's it. Like, just wheel me off a cliff somewhere, because
especially in the 70s, the fact that these people are trying to survive, and she has the biggest soulful heart you've ever seen,
and she's able to create this community for these people where they all have inside jokes and they get up and do poetry readings, like all of this stuff. You're like,
but
what?
to your lazy American point there, it is she has every excuse in the world to be
Give
a
up.
negative, shitty person and just give up,
Completely.
right? She does the opposite, and Herzog captures that in such a beautiful way. So she says something in this movie, and actually, maybe it's not her. I think there's.
Is this
there's an
the title
older
of? Is this the title of the movie?
No.
Oh, okay.
But there's an
We'll
old, there's
talk
an
about
old-
that. That one. Woof.
Oh yeah, of course. There's an old. It's not her now that I think back, but it's an older guy who's kind of an advocate who's speaking to a room of people. He's at a podium, and he says this. And to me, this is our festival in a nutshell, right? This is the reason I think we wanted to do this festival. This is, I think, what we're trying to make people aware of. But they said disabled people are underrepresented. They have the right to do more than just live, and our moral attitude about them as people has to change.
Every disenfranchised community in the world is disenfranchised because the community at large that makes the rules and decides where funding goes to and decides how buildings are built or where buildings are built or where money goes to, unfortunately, the way that they feel about other communities becomes law, becomes the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're talking about discriminations against minority cultures or discrimination against gender or sexual orientation.
It shows you how important Julie Human in Crip Camp is, right? Like what she did.
Well, somebody coming and getting in your face and saying, so let me get this straight, you don't think I'm the same as you. And it's like watching those politicians go, bullshit. I don't. Who can get me out of this? Because I feel really uncomfortable right now. Like that's what's necessary in order for real change to even take place. Let's talk about where the title for this movie comes from. Again, in the same way as I said, where each moment of this movie, there are layers upon layers upon layers of context taking place, right? Where you're not just watching one moment of this kid swimming and the instructor helping him. You're not just watching them in the airplane being like, oh, wow, like they're signing to each other. You're realizing that they are trying to telegraph to the people in the room and then therefore to you on another level what their experience is like. And the fact that we have Fini explaining to Herzog, and therefore the camera, and therefore us,
Yes.
what being deaf and blind is like, while meanwhile she's on a train and there's a window behind her with this beautiful countryside vista going by that she can't see or hear.
Same in the
right?
plane. Same in the plane.
Same
right?
in the plane. It's some
Yep.
it's some phenomenon that she's aware of on a different level than we are. And
Well, we envision what she sees behind blind eyes, right? She describes a road or some clouds and all this stuff that we think we know about. And honestly, there's times where you forget that she's deaf and blind.
oh my God,
right?
I think and I think even the times when I remember that she's blind, I forget that she's also deaf because
Yeah.
there's
always someone to translate, though. I feel like
there
like
is,
most of these people.
but there's also no inflection in her voice that makes you realize that she's deaf. I think so often people tonally when they're deaf, there might be a little bit of a tell in some of the vocal range, but with her there isn't any. And when she's telling this story about these two streams and the way that this silent stream runs through these beautiful landscapes and trees and animals, but the stream is completely silent, and it meets up to this lake, and that there is meanwhile parallel to it another stream, another river that's going along that's pitch black, right? And that where the two of them meet together, one represents deafness, the other one represents blindness, and the pool together where they meet is the land of silence and darkness. And she says, there are rocks. There are rocks in this lake, and they create this bubbling turmoil. And the rocks...
They represent depression,
The
right?
rocks represent the depression that you have, and you have to find a way to calm those waters and get them to... The currents can move together in harmony.
Well, this moment is her describing what it would be like to be a painter, right?
Yes.
And thoughts of what it could be, and the wall of rocks, all of that stuff. Is
God,
just like,
it is. I mean, it's
whoa,
spellbinding.
heavy.
You are so locked in that moment. It reminds me of a scene from My Dinner with Andre, like something where it's like if you were just walking through the room and you saw that scene, you'd sit down and watch the rest of the movie, right? You'd be like, "Oh yeah, I love this movie. What did I have to do today?" Like, yeah. Well, I just think there are those ones where they can pull you in that way, and this is one of those scenes.
Well, there's so many unique perspectives in this movie. I mean, you think about the Down syndrome kid who listens to music.
Oh my God.
And he can't obviously hear it, but he can feel the vibrations, right? And you think about touching an animal. Like, that would be wild.
And they're playing with the monkey.
Feed an elephant, and you're playing with a monkey, like, but you can't see or hear it, and you're just feeling this thing crawling all over you. Like, I can't imagine what it would be like, you know.
I was going to make a Marky Mark joke when you said feel the vibration, but then you kept talking, so moment passed.
Damn it!
I tried to pull it back, but
so few opportunities for Marky Mark.
It doesn't happen often, but right now we can show a picture of him in his underwear. Anyway,
quick side note: his biography is called "Don't Call Me Marky Mark." Mark Wahlberg is called.
It is.
I walked by it in a bookstore once, and that's the name of his biography. Don't Call Me Marky Mark.
Don't say that on the cover of your book. Then everyone's going to call you that. Why isn't it called? Why isn't it called?
Believe me.
Why isn't it called "Say Hello to Your Mother for Me"?
All right, that was a tangent.
The good tangent there. No, let's talk about. Okay, so that moment with the boy who has Down syndrome.
Yes.
And the fact that, I mean, and again...
Also, is it Vladimir, right? I think that's what his name.
Yeah,
but never had any special training. Like, some of these guys, I forgot the first kid's name, Harold. That's who it is. He swims in the pool and takes a shower. Just the feeling of water. Like,
is making him laugh. It's like the sensory overload must be intense, right?
That seems so simple, right? To put those together. But Herzog, for some reason, just portrays it so beautifully. He just lets you sit there and watch the joy.
Well,
it's
you remember,
pure joy.
We were talking, it was at the beginning of this festival, and I was talking about one of the really important currencies that documentaries have, which is they can take their time because they kind of know who their audience is, which is if you're an audience member who has signed up to watch a documentary, They know it's not Michael Bay. They're not like, I don't get it, right? Like they're going to be invested enough to
Where's
spend
Iron
time.
Man?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be invested enough to spend that time, and Herzog uses that currency in so many of his documentaries to be like, you know what? I know you came here for the bears to eat this guy, but we're gonna watch the wind push the grass around for 5 minutes, and because you signed up, you're like, okay, let's watch grass for 5 minutes.
Well,
and here,
it's like,
there's so many moments similar to that, right?
it's these little victories, right, that we get with these people who we barely know, but it's so interesting, right? Like you just, for some reason, and again, I give Herzog a lot of credit here, but these little victories of them feeling happy, we get these moments of happiness captured, and, she says something that I thought was so fascinating. But she talked about a lot of these people, you get the touching of the lips and translation and sound waves and the vibration, Marky. and then, but she talks about like a lot of these people can't understand abstract ideas like what makes them happy and proud. And it's a mystery to us. Like, but at the same time, like, that's the translation of what Herzog is trying to do here.
Oh my God,
as well,
it's
right?
so true.
Like,
And
he's trying to put us through that.
Well, and
Wild.
well, because we know this about Herzog being huge fans of him, is that he believe. I always have said that, like, if one of these days he pulled off his mask and he was an alien from another planet who came to Earth to document human empathy because he
that
found
makes
it
a lot of
fascinating,
sense.
you'd be like, of course, because his documentaries are basically, Herzog believes our human capacity for empathy is a superpower, right? And he never gets tired of exploring that. It's always fascinating to him.
And we need filmmakers to say that, because so many do not say that, right?
No, they don't. And I think a lot of times that, and that, I think that's the most interesting joke, or the most interesting aspect of the current joke about Herzog, that he's like, Herzog does a review of like a restaurant on Yelp, and and it's a joke review, and he's like, the human misery, da 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 da, and it's like, yeah, I know that that's a lot of times what his pastiche seems like when you watch his documentaries, but it's actually not at all. Like he talks about those things in like very stark German expressionism terms, but honestly, at the end of the day, it's because he's so in love with like the human spirit and
Absolutely.
the humans ability to have empathy for one another, that like, sometimes his narration can get like kind of over the top, but he isn't like all death and doom and gloom. He's like, look at this. Look at our capacity for love and for understanding, right?
He's forcing you to see a perspective that you don't normally do, right?
Completely.
And he's trying to explain it in a way that makes sense to him.
Totally.
You think about the moment where Fini's like, oh, we can get something out of him, right? And she starts giving, I can't remember if it's Vladimir or who it was, but she starts blowing raspberries. Because it probably feels good, and that person has probably never had anyone go
well, that Vladimir
on their body
kid,
or their skin.
That Vladimir kid immediately grabs a hold of her hand, and she says, he's pushing his fingernails into my hand because he wants me to know that
I like this.
That I like this, right? And so she's trying to calm him down. That moment, and again, there's at least one of these.
The hugging of the tree at the end, too.
Well, okay, hold on. Before we get to the hugging of the tree, because that is the moment. But before that, the Vladimir's hugging of the radio.
Yes.
Boy, every Herzog documentary or narrative movie has at least one moment in it that usually gets me. And this one has two. The first one is the radio, where I'm just like, oh my God, because he's like putting his head against it, and you feel for this kid because he's all done up in his little suit and tie and his little Sunday bests, and you're like, no one bothered to try and ever communicate with this kid. No. So he's just hanging out. Never. He doesn't know that other people can hear or see. He's locked in this cage.
Yeah, yeah.
except for that radio. And oh my God, it totally made me cry when I was watching it.
Oh, he
God.
hugs it. He hugs it. He feels it. Man, it's
So
this
intense,
is magical.
dude.
I hope people have seen this movie. It's why we're doing The Forgotten Gem. I hope we get a lot of views because, man, people need to see this. It is so
It's
good.
absolutely
and
magical.
again, we have no right to complain about anything. Like,
No.
oh, you didn't get that reservation at the fancy restaurant or whatever, like you're talking about Yelp reviews. And
It was
stuff.
hot today, and my air conditioning isn't working quite as good as I want it to. Fuck
yeah,
you.
exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's get to
Welcome
this.
life.
Let's get to this last
All right,
end
go
moment
for it.
because, well, no, let me have you do it because I already went on a long one right before this, but you.
No, I mean, we're essentially, Fina's sitting there going through a diatribe of what this experience is of being. I think she goes to the School of the Deaf and the Blind, is where she's at. And as she's talking, Herzog kind of just floats away from her talking, and we still hear her talking, but we see this older man like kind of wander. And
Another guy from this hospital at
this school or whatever
we're
we're at. They never really say, which
Yeah.
I kind of like. I like that it's just kind of like, oh, this could be anywhere.
Another
Like, this
place,
could be-
another place with lots of people who are both deaf and blind. Like, okay,
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like, hey, these people are, they're everywhere, and we need to remember them. But he starts feeling it with his hands.
The
And
tree.
if you think about, if you think about the bark of a tree, every tree is different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very odd feeling. And then he starts just like, just like massaging it and like almost wants to. I don't want to say have sex with it, but like it's just feeling this.
He's
for the first
embracing
time.
it. He embraces it.
He wants to
Yeah.
feel a connection with
Yeah.
this tree, and we just kind of like end up going to this guy as she's talking, and it's just like this fascinating, like miracle moment that he has, where you're just like, this person hasn't walked outside probably in the last 6 months.
Well, and doesn't it make you feel like, I remember the first time I saw this, as you said, when we were doing this Herzog Festival probably 13 years ago. And I remember when you first see the man in the background go over to the tree, the camera does start to kind of edge towards that a little bit. And I remembered thinking in that moment, man, it'd be so cool if we just went over and saw what this dude was doing. And then he did that.
Mm-hmm.
And I remembered feeling like in that moment, and I said this about Herzog back then, and I still think it's completely true. You can, even though sometimes he might take you someplace that hurts, you can always trust Herzog that it's for the good. He's not going to do something.
He's not going to hurt you.
He's not going to hurt you. And if you are like, oh, when you see or hear something or feel something, you're like, you still trust him. You trust that he's doing it for your benefit. And there's not a lot of directors like that,
I 100% agree. That's why, like, a few years ago, we like went a very weird, uncomfortable route to go meet him at Sundance and see his movie about the internet.
I gotta shake his
just,
hand.
Just be in his presence, right? Like, just be in his presence. Like, this is one of the greatest. And like, he's not going to hurt you. He may break your heart.
Yes.
He may force you to see a perspective you never even thought was possible.
Yeah.
But that's what makes him great, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need more Herzogs, and there's only one Herzog.
There's only one Herzog. And then, of course, if you want the...
Errol Morris is pretty close.
I was going to say, and if you want... Errol Morris is very close. And I would say if you want, and I've said this before, if you want the dark shadow, the 180 degrees of Herzog, it's Michael Haneke. So where he just likes to show you things that you should never see. Right?
He will hurt you.
He will hurt you, and that's the point. The point is to hurt you because fuck you. Which also has a beautiful place in my heart, and is also very, very important to cinema. But I love that. I love kind of knowing ahead of time, like, okay, it's this director. Let's buckle up. That's always a good feeling.
what a beautiful movie! Like, what a way to cap off this Disabilities Documented Festival. Like, gosh, I just can't say enough about people need to see this movie. It's so important. Yeah, even if you have no idea what it's about, just please do it. It's just very effective, and I honestly think it's a really good intro to Herzog. Right?
I think so too. I totally agree.
He's made movies for 50 something years, but like more than that. I mean, this movie is in the 70s, right? So
watch this and then watch Strosek.
Oh, Strosek. Oh, yeah, the little baby.
Oh God, see that part makes me cry again.
All right. Woo. Well, we're gonna start a new festival starting next week. We're gonna get into Taika Waititi.
Yes.
I can't wait to talk about him. He's one of my favorites going right now. Can we get a little Herzog to take us out of this episode, though, Sherlock?
If you like what you saw or heard, please smash the subscribe button. Sorry,
Please
Werner.
like and subscribe.
Please like and subscribe if you like or don't like, subscribe or don't subscribe. Time is infinite.
Deep Dive Film School is the best.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you for Taika Waititi next week.
Bye, guys.